All right, we'll open up our post-race availability for the Auto Club 400 with Brad Keselowski. Brad, fourth straight top 5 finish this year, third straight top 10 at Auto Club. I'm not sure how you finished second. Can you tell us, please?
We were tore all to hell. Gosh, that's unfortunate. Got tore up there really early in the race, went all the way to the back and just clawed all the way up the second. I don't know if we had anything for Kyle and those guys. Car was tore up pretty bad, so to get that kind of finish is respectable. Certainly we want to win. Felt like we had a shot to do just that, but it didn't come together. So that's the way it goes sometimes when you have, a 36 race season. You're going to have some adversity in days that don't go your way, and it's a little bit what today was for us, but we made the most of it, so I'm proud of our guys for that.
Brad, do you mind if we watch this Larson interview real quick?
Yeah, come on. I have a question, Ray. We got to go.
TV? Do you have the TV audio?
But also frustrated at the same time. It seems like every time I get to the lead at the end of one of these things, the caution comes out and I got to fight people off on restarts. But our target Chevy was amazing all day. We were able to lead a lot of laps today. Truex was better than us at second stage by quite a bit. We were able to get the jump on him the following restart and led pretty much the rest of the distance. So I had to fight him off there after the green flag stops, and that was a lot of fun. But can't thank Target enough, Credible and Bank, all of our partners, Chip Ganassi, Rock Coffin, Felix Sabanas. I hope you're feeling better at home. Wish you were here. This is just amazing. We've been so good all year long, and 3 seconds in a row. And I've been watching all the TV. He doesn't know how to win, but we knew how to win today, so that was good.
Okay. Thank you, Brad. Any questions for Brad? We'll start over here. And then we'll over here.
Kathy Brown pitting outside the box. You said that,
One lap penalty, but go ahead.
It is true. When you suffered the damage, like right when the race went green, you came back and you finished second. And I know you said it kind of wasn't the day that you had wanted, but what do you attribute ending up second? Is it you? Was it your team? How did you get back to second place?
It's a good question. I'm glad I got the race on record on the DVR so I could see it. But the last few restarts were obviously key for us. We seemed to get settled into about 10th there, maybe 7th or 8th, and then just kind of executed the last few restarts. Good pit calls and so forth, and good timing with the yellows. So we caught a few breaks for sure and made good adjustments to our car to make up for the damage. So it takes a little bit of everything, a little bit of execution, good work by the team, and a little bit of luck on the last few yellows.
Gentleman on the right.
Elliot Stern, Santa Maria Times. What happened at the start of the race?
I got ran in the back of, and it did a lot of damage to the car, and we were in a lot of trouble and started to free fall through the field, and then I got ran over again. So I got ran over. So I'm not really sure who, why, what. I haven't seen any of that.
So did you get banged up at all? How are you feeling? Were you just ready to get back on the track and go?
Yeah, I'm good. Car was a little tore up, but I was ready as ever. I'll run another race. Unload the backup. Let's go.
Any questions down here? Is that a yes?
I think this young lady up here has a question.
Kay Presto, Cars and Competition. You seem to like this track. You came in second today. You've had a victory here. What do you like about this track and how it handles for your car?
We really turned a corner here. We the first 2 races I ran here, we were awful. And I think I learned a lot, the team learned a lot, and have put together just a much more robust effort for this type of track. And I like coming to places where we run well, but beyond that, I think it's just this track is known for having great races and great racing, and I think we saw that here at the end today.
Holly?
It's fun to be a part of those races.
Holly K, NASCAR.com. And if you've answered this, I'm sorry. I ran as fast as I could down pit road.
Me too.
You're faster than me, clearly. Obviously, I mean, when we saw you up at the very end, making a run for the victory, I mean, if you could just talk about how the day went. I mean, it started out here and frustrating and all sorts of things, and then the end is.
Yeah, obviously we got hit on the restart, did a lot of damage to the car, and I was free falling through the field, and then I got hit again. So the car was all tore up. The guys worked to fix it, but only were able to partially fix it with the yellows at the start. And when they finally got it as much repaired as they could, we were a lot more competitive and just kind of slowly clicked our way through the field. And then at the end, we made a few adjustments and fell back a little bit, put them back at the end, and drove right back up to where we felt like we were capable of in the top 2 or 3 and with those restarts. So up and down day for sure, a lot of adversity. But we were able to overcome that, and I think that's what great teams do, so I'm proud of that.
We'll go to the terrace press for a question.
Yeah, one question. Wolfgang Munzer, Rennsport Press Agency. Hi, Brad. After this incident early in the race, I was just looking from the terrace press box and see your crew guys just taped your cars nearly everywhere. Did it affect your aero package, all this tape around?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, the left rear quarter panel on the car is destroyed, and that's the quarter panels and fenders are critical to the car's performance. So, you know, it is what it is. We made the most of it, so I'm really proud of that as well.
We'll come back down here.
Yeah, Brad, this is Mike Arthur, Sports Life Magazine. With the track conditions today, it was a cool day. How did that have an effect on the car? Did it come to you more at the end, or was it just kind of there all day?
Yeah, we had damage and we're tore up, and it was driving pretty evil all day, so it didn't feel like cool track conditions to me. I can tell you that. The cars were a handful, but that's a good thing.
Go to the Skybox press.
Lee Spencer Motorsport.com. Sorry, there's a delay. Can you just describe that last restart, because you just came out of nowhere and blasted to the front?
Yeah, the last 2 restarts we really hit pretty well, and you know, I don't know if I would have had a shot at Kyle, but I'd like to have seen. But we came from 3rd on that last one, and a couple of 3 wide passes and whatnot, because Kyle was smart. He picked outside lane and kind of pinned me behind a guy that had older tires. So by the time I cleared everybody, Kyle was just too far gone.
We'll wrap it up with Bob in the front here.
Bob Pockers, ESPN. How good is Kyle Larson? How good is Kyle Larson right now? I mean, 3 seconds and a win in the last 4 races. Is there anything that he's doing differently, or anything that you see that they've got that?
Yeah, I mean, he's on a really nice roll, and you know, it takes everything. You know, this is a sport of speed, execution, and luck, and when you're on a roll like that, you got all 3 on your side. It's a damn good feeling, and you know, he's been on the other side of that too. So you know, credit to him. But those things, you know, they come and go, and that's the roller coaster of the sport. And when you're on the top, you just got to try to stay there as long as you can, and when you fall to the bottom, you got to recover as quickly as you can. And it's impressive to me, not that he's, you know, winning races and running up front, but that he's been able to sustain it for you know, a handful of weeks here in a row to start the season.
Sure.
Coming into this weekend with him having been so good here in the past, is it almost like a kind of look at him like you would look at like a Harvick at Phoenix?
Yeah, you knew this was going to be a good track for him, and you know, this is the type of track that I think suits his style the best. So you certainly knew this would be a really good race for him, and all the Ganassi cars are running really well. So that puts the 2 together, and you got to get the brakes as well, and everything comes together right.
Thank you, Brad.
Okay,
impressive runner-up. That was
My
awesome.
man, Clint Bowyer, how long has it been since you've been here after this? Hell yeah.
All right, we're now joined by the number 14 Rush Truck Center's Ford driver, Clint Bowyer, finishing 3rd today. You ran up front all day, and you were excited about this one. You mentioned earlier in the week.
Yeah.
Talk about the run and being back here, like you.
Fun racetrack. You know, I mean, I remember, I think I've been coming here 12, 13 years now, and it wasn't always this way. You know, I remember single file around here, couldn't really pass, right, ring around the bottom, and now, I mean, all hell breaks loose on them restarts. You're, you know, trying to protect the bottom. They're calling you outside. You don't know if you're 3 wide, 4 wide, 12 wide. And it's all because of a really wide, cool racetrack, fast racetrack, and a lot of grooves. You know, 5 different grooves to race on all day long. It was just a lot of fun to be out there. Very challenging track, trying to balance those front tires, the rear tires, and you know, and not push them off. You know, you can overdrive your car, and I did one run, and thing fell away. And, you know, you learn from your mistakes and go on. But just to have the organization behind me, everybody at Stewart Haas Racing, my teammates, you know, to have these teammates like this is just, at this point in your career and everything that I've been through, it's, you know how fortunate you are when you get this opportunity. And, you know, Gene Haas and Tony Stewart getting out of the car and giving me this opportunity, I mean, just appreciative of everything.
Awesome. Thank you, Clint. All right, I'll open up with questions. Please state your name and affiliation. We'll start over here. Go front.
Kathy Brown, pitting outside the box. Congratulations.
Thanks.
You have been getting better and better every week, and you can see it. And you can see it, you know, in your attitude that you are just happy with where you're at. When you finished third today, was there anything that Tony said to you when you got out of the car?
Good job. Tony wins a lot of races. He's won a lot of races. Anything less than a win is you know, he expects that, and I love that about Tony. As a, you know, obviously I know he's proud, and he was happy with that. But that's what you want in an owner, you know what I mean? Yeah, to have that instilled in everything in your DNA. I mean, it's that, like, this is the way I was raised. Anything else but a win is a bad day, you know, and you are miserable with anything less than that. I mean, it's just the way we're wired as race car drivers from the time that we're 5 years old and on, you know. The problem is everybody else on that racetrack is wired the same way. So there's really only one guy happy and everybody else is pissed off at the end of the day is what it boils down to. But to have an organization like that, to have owners like Tony Stewart and Gene Haas, I'm telling you, that's what it's all about. You know, the teammates, you say attitude, yes, I'm having a blast. You know, I'm getting a little long in the tooth here in this career, and to have this opportunity and the opportunity to go out and compete and win races, you know, and race for a championship, hopefully. I mean, that's what you're here to do, and I realize that these opportunities don't come around every day.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. Do you have any idea why you were so good and your teammates struggled so much? I mean, did you do something different, or does this track just suit your style? Or
you know, I love this racetrack, but I mean, Kevin's so good here. You know, one thing that I didn't see today that we've seen in years past is that rim riding. You know, right around the outside. You saw it that first run, and man, I could get down and kind of split the apron in 3 and 4, and you know, I could see that I was better than them down there, and if I could keep that going throughout the run, you know, I knew that was going to be, you know, an advantage when it come down to these cautions and everything else, the restarts that we saw at the end. But everybody else catches on and figures that out. But that was something that was a little bit different from practice sessions and everything else. I mean, I don't think I left, you know, the 4th and 5th groove in practice the whole weekend. I think the 3rd groove was the lowest I was in practice, even qualifying. And then all of a sudden you start the race and you're straddling the apron and running on the bottom and everything else. But that's just what's cool about this racetrack. You got to be able to adapt. You got to be able to have that car free enough across the center that you can throttle through those corners and not get tight, and then tight enough that the rear end doesn't come out from underneath the via in and off. I mean, it's a constant battle, balancing those tires and then taking care of those tires as well.
So it's kind of their late model experience.
Yeah, but I mean, I've got great teammates. I mean, we were all a little bit different going into this race, you know, and some of us tightened up a little bit and some of us freed up a little bit. And, you know, track position, once you get that track position, you can't believe how much easier your car drives and everything else, you know, and once you're mired back there in traffic, you're in trouble. You know, those cautions started coming and helped a lot of those guys get up through there and taking advantage of that. I mean, the 2-car, I went by him the first run, and I just knew his day was over, and I'll be damned if he didn't finish in front of me. Yeah. How'd he do that? Did you see that?
We'll go to Holly.
Holly Kane, NASCAR.com, and that's exactly what I was just about to ask you. Those final few laps, you were like, wait, where did that guy come from? I mean, there are a whole lot of people that finished in the top 10 that were not running in the top 10.
Yeah.
A couple cautions before the end. What was that like for you?
Tires, no tires, you know, and it's, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, it's one of those deals where some of us took tires early, and you're thinking, all right, that's good, and then all of a sudden, caution comes back out. Now they took tires, and now you're thinking, was it going to come back out, and where are we going to be on the advantage side of this tires? And seems like obviously your advantage to have those tires, but if it comes out right off the bat, you know, you put a cycle in the tires, nobody else, and it kind of levels the playing field. And then all of a sudden, some of them that didn't, you know, take tires took tires, and then they're on the advantage behind you. I mean, it's a constant mind game right then, and you just got to scratch it out of your head and get off into one, and that's when everybody's pushing hard and 3 wide, 4 wide. I mean, I just knew that I had to floor it and try to get across to the 3/4 mark ahead of them and then figure it out from there. And that's what I did. I just kind of left it pinned till I got over there and lifted, and I hoped that it turned and knocked the wall down, and that's what it did.
All right, we'll take 2 more down here, and then we'll go up to Terrace and Skybox.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. Clint, with all those cautions that kept coming out late, you're getting closer and closer to the front. How eager were you behind the wheel to try and make something happen, being in that position?
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. I mean, all day long, it was just kind of, the temptation was killing you. You could see it, you just couldn't get it. And my car was so good, but it was teeter-tottering between, too loose on the ends, in and out, and or in and off the corner, and too tight in the middle. And I wanted to free up to try to get it, better across the center, but I was afraid that it'd get too loose getting into 3 because I was having trouble there on the long run. I was just kind of stuck in a box, and this is one that you'll think about on the way home. Should I have freed up a little bit? What would it have done? Would it have given me an advantage, that I didn't have? But that's racing. I mean, there's so much that goes into it, the teamwork, the communication. Boog and I went to his room last night. It was the most awkward. I've never went to a crew chief's hotel room, sat down at his desk, and we looked at sim and throttle traces and all sorts of crap. Never done that before.
Second, how different or how weird is it maybe to have Tony Stewart not on the racetrack but in your ear because he was on the radio today?
It's just, it is weird still. You're exactly right. I mean, we all, me included, I mean, look at him. He's ready. You could put him in a fire suit and he'd go out there and get the job done in that 14 car. But, to give me the opportunity is super cool, and to have him on the box is really cool. It's neat to see a smile on his face. I mean, I really believe, he just looks happy. He looks comfortable and at ease. I mean, the guy, that's a long time. That's a long career to be in any kind of sport, and he put his time in, and he's an owner now and still a part of it. That's the coolest thing about his gig right now is he's still a part of this sport, and maybe the biggest way he's ever been.
Okay, Presto, cars in competition. We know you've struggled in the past, and now this year you're running quite
Fixed
often
it.
in the top 5 and higher, and compliments today on your finish.
Thank you.
Is it better equipment, the attitude, the new team? What is it with you and Tony that you're doing so much better?
It's just the opportunity you've been waiting on. I mean, everybody knows the situation, and this opportunity, this is something I signed up for a year and a half ago, and just been chomping at the bit, this opportunity to be with the organization like this, to have the army of people behind you like this, the teammates, the partners and the sponsors that we have, the manufacturer and Ford, just all of that is the total package at Stewart-Haas Racing, which is why they've won a championship and win all these races, that we see. I mean, that's what you thrive to be a part of, and finally got my opportunity to be that.
Yep. We'll go up to the Terrace Press.
Yeah, 2 questions for Clint Bowyer. Congratulations, Clint. Wolfgang Monza, Rennsport.
You only get 1 question.
I make it very short. After the last but 1 caution, I think it was Corey LaJoie won into the wall. After the restart, or at the restart, just looking, your speed seems phenomenal for me personally. When your other teammates were struggling, can you say something, how identical the cars are set up? Your car compared to your teammates' car, are they identical? Are they different, much different? And the second question, did you stay up last night and watch the action from Australia?
All right. No, I didn't stay up last night. I actually was a good boy. It was school night, and I went to bed. I remember thinking the same thing that they probably thought last week. Where were we? Oh, at Phoenix. And the 4-car blew my doors off and went up and finished in the top 5 or wherever he did. Ran in the top 5 all day, and I was struggling to run 15th. I was thinking, oh, these are the same cars. It all comes down to the communication, the setup you put in them, the teamwork that you have, the track position, and the effort you put in all day long. We'll all have an opportunity to do that, and all of our cars at Stewart-Haas Racing, they're all built by the same people, assembled the same way. And some days it's your day, and some days it's not. Some tracks suit you a little better than others. This has always been a fun track for me. It's always been a good track for me. And, as like last night, Boog and I were sitting there talking, and, it was almost like I could I overthink things anyway, so everybody knows me. I just would rather not think and just do it. And that's what I told Booga last night. I was like, hey, man, this is a good track for me. You got a good hot rod. You brought me a good car. Don't overthink it. We'll go have fun. And we did.
Skybox Press question.
Chris Knight, CatchFence.com. Clint, I was just wondering, with this solid start to the season, how do you guys approach Martinsville next weekend, and are you looking forward to going back to short track racing?
No, they're one of my favorite tracks. It's 40 minutes from the house. You know, finally get home to get to see my family and everything else, and you know, to bring everybody up there and drive to the racetrack, you know, every day and sleep in your own bed. I mean, that's, you know, it's just a fun weekend, fun racetrack. It's old school racing at its finest, and I've been close so many times there. It's one that I want to win more than anything. And, you know, with this momentum and the confidence that we take from here, maybe we can.
Any other questions for Clint? All right. It's great to have you
Thanks,
in here.
guys.
Thanks, Clint. Congrats.
Y'all be safe getting home now.
Race-winning owner, Chip Ganassi. Chip, I believe this is your first win at Auto Club Speedway, but you said it a number of times.
Exactly, in NASCAR, yes.
In NASCAR, right? And coming in here, you said you like winners. And after a number of runner-up finishes, Kyle finally made it to victory lane and pretty dominant performance. Talk about it from your vantage point.
Yeah, you know, first of all, I thought that race was never going to be over there at the end. I was thought we were having a pretty clean day there until the end. And, you know, it's just a culmination of a lot of hard work. You know, I've spoken to a lot of you about just the, you know, we made, everybody said, what is it this year? What is it? You know, why are your cars good? Why this, why that? And, you know, I keep saying in this business, it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to be good, and it doesn't take much to be bad. And you know, we just made some small changes over the winter in our organization. We try to look at places that need improvements, and we make improvements. You know, I think obviously a lot of it's down to Kyle. I think he's starting to mature in the series and learning what the cars will accept and what the cars won't accept in terms of you know, in terms of a race. You know, putting a weekend together, putting a whole, you know, putting together practice, putting together qualifying, putting together race practice, a race, you know, pit stop after pit stop after pit stop, keeping your head in the game. I think he's matured a lot in that manner, and I couldn't be happier for him.
Great, thank you, Chip. I want to open up to questions for Chip. Go to Holly and then up here.
Holly Kane, NASCAR.com. Hey, Chip, congratulations.
Thank you.
Could you also speak about that it's not, you know, Kyle winning is huge, but Kyle and Jamie, both of your teams, have done so well this year, and today was another example of that, but it's
Yes.
been the whole organization.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, you know, with Jamie was sixth today, right? And sixth? Yeah, yeah. And, you know, again, can't say enough about, you know, you know, it's hard sometimes when you have a group of so many people involved in these teams, so many people back in Charlotte, you know, back at the home base, you know, putting the cars together, building our own chassis. You know, that was the subject of a lot of talk the last few weeks. You know, finish fab, you know, on the shake rig, in the wind tunnel. It takes so many people and so many long, hard hours. And you know, you like I said earlier, you make it just takes little changes. And little changes can, like I said, take you to the promised land. They can take you to your day of reckoning too, you know. And I think that the fact, I couldn't be prouder. Every team owner wants their cars, they want their cars, you know, to be like this on the track, not, you know, not one in the front, one in the back, you know. So that's really rewarding from a team point of view. I think it validates the way that Max and Chad and Matt run the team, and Tony, you know, the way they run the team. I think that sort of validates their MO, if you will. Yeah.
Go up in the front here.
Okay, Presto Cars and Competition, congratulations as
Thanks,
always.
Kay.
You've always excelled in no matter what kind of racing you've done, and as a race driver too. Did you anticipate that the car was that good that he could do a clean sweep this weekend like he did? And how did you feel when that last caution came out and he came in for tires?
You know, I'll be honest with you, I forget what well, the last, was it the last caution he came for tires? I think it was two cautions from the end, maybe he came for tires. Yeah. And I will tell you, I did not have the nerve to make that call. I would never have. You know, that's why there's guys that do that way better than me. I used to do that in my younger days, you know, run the cars and that, but I don't do that anymore for that reason. And that was the winning call. I mean, that was obviously the winning call. And so my hat's off to Chad Johnston for making that call. What was the rest of the question? I'm sorry.
Did you expect there to be such a clean sweep this weekend?
No, nobody ever expects it. I do know that I think when Kyle comes back to California, he's got a little more spark in his step. You know, he's kind of his, you know, I wouldn't call this his home track, but at least it's probably, you know, one of the tracks that's closest to his home. And he's got a lot of fans here in California, obviously, you know, from Northern California. But yeah, I think he likes this place. I think he, you know, this Michigan. I mean, he likes a lot of places, as you've seen the last few weeks. I think he excels a little more here, and I couldn't be happier because I think early in his career, the bigger tracks he took it was a little bit of a learning curve. You know, some of the more high-speed places, he went through a bit of a learning curve that I think you know, none of us, you know, just let's say went through a learning curve, a little more than he did on a short track. Yes, thank you. Yes.
We'll go to Bob.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. As he was going through the learning curve, was there ever a point where you thought, would you learn faster, or is he ever going to learn?
Yeah, no, I don't think, Bob. I think, you know, I think I was talking to someone this morning about that, how, you know, everybody wants to compare these drivers coming up to, you know, to Jeff or to Tony or to, you know, this guy, that guy, whoever they want to compare to. And, you know, they always say, well, Jimmy Johnson only won one Xfinity race, you know. I mean, everybody's got these sort of little one-liners that there's no answer to. And they want to compare everybody. And I think today you have to look at these guys coming into the sport you have to look in their totality, where you have to, you know, you have to look at their situation. You got to look at who the team is, who the, you know, who's working on the car, who's engineering the cars, who's doing the pit stops. It's not just an automatic come in and, you know, 100 races later you're winning races on a regular basis. I think I just think that takes a little more education than that today. You know, I mean, you have to peel a little more of the onion back to get to that kind of analysis today. You have to look more in the totality of the whole situation these young guys come in at. If that, you understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay.
It's a big onion.
Yes, it's a big onion these days, getting bigger. Yes. Yes.
John Hervold, PopularSpeed.com. Chip, I was just wondering, how much do your IndyCar drivers pay attention to the NASCAR side?
Yeah, they do. It's all one team. You know, they're all you know, tweeting each other and texting each other and congratulations, and all it goes all ways on the team. You know, to the sports cars, to the Indy cars, to NASCAR. They're all three of them are. It's really nice because they get a lot of. There's a lot of. You know, I think there's a lot of speed in that, if you will. You know, having teammates. You know, you know, you have a question in the, are you going to get an honest answer from people? You know what I mean? And you know, you sort of have a little bit of best practices come into play. You know, that I think there's a lot of speed in that. I think the other teams learn from each other. The drivers learn from each other. Maybe they don't learn how to drive at, you know, California Speedway in a stock car, but I mean, but they learn lots of other things, and I think they all play off one another, and they motivate each other, certainly.
Gentleman, right?
Chip,
Yes.
Mike Arthur, Sports Life Magazine. You've had a lot of great drivers who've driven for you over the years. How would you rate these two who've just had an amazing start to the season?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to say that you know, that they're I don't know, with Jamie. I mean, look, he's proven himself on the, you know, at Daytona and the Brickyard, those kind of races. I think with Kyle, he's just, you know, I don't think anybody knows. I mean, I think the runway is, you know, he's got a lot of runway and a lot, you know, we didn't have the engine spooled up yet, and you know, we got a long runway to go. So, I mean, I think he's just scratching the surface in terms of what he's capable of. You know, I have no idea what he's capable of. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. Yeah.
Any questions from the media center? How about the Terrace Press? Skybox Press? Okay, we have one more, wrap it up here, and then We'll welcome the race-winning driver and crew chief.
Chip, there he is. Dick and Ware, the Motorsports Report. Two-part thing. We were talking about speed and your teams and stuff. So in a situation when overall your whole race team, do Mike Hall and like Chris Simmons, do they all talk to these guys? And
lots of interaction between Mike and Max and the engineers in both places, and you know they like I said, it's something that they sort of feed off each other, and develop a best practices situation.
now here's the second part of this question. If one of these guys came to you, like Kyle, and said, hey, that car Scott Dixon's got looks kind of fun. Could I do some laps in that at Indy? I mean, I run around the Brickyard. I know the track.
May's only a couple months away. So.
Yeah, could I
told
could
me
I
we're
drive
about
that
winning
car?
one
What would
cup
you?
race, now we got two.
What would you tell him? What would you tell him if one of your guys or Scott wanted to drive?
They're
Kyle's
always
car?
all the cars are available to all the guys to drive anytime they want. You know, I mean they know that, and I mean you know it's in terms of you know taking a guy you know to the Indianapolis 500 or something like that. That's another story. But I mean, but they're sure if they want to get in, absolutely, no reason why any of them couldn't get in any of the cars at a test or you know someplace they like. You know, sure, yeah.
Test would be fun to see him in.
Sure.
I'd love
I
to
think
do
it's. I think you know, whenever he's ready. Yeah. Whenever he says he's in, just show up. You're in. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chip. Obviously, you're welcome to
Thanks,
stick
everybody.
around. But now we are joined by our race photo op.
Bossy.
Okay, we're joined by our race-winning driver and crew chief,
We made See ya.
Kyle Larson and Chad Johnston. Kyle, this is Kyle's second career victory. Kyle, we'll start with you. After a string of runner-up finishes, you're in victory lane. Outstanding start to the season. Only the second driver to win from the pole here in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series, and of course, retain the points lead in the Monster Energy Series. Talk about just the dominant effort today.
Yeah, it was definitely a great run for us. We were able to lead a lot of laps, win that first stage, and then I made a mistake on pit road and slid through, well, not through my box, but through my sign, and was too close to the wall on the left side, and the jack couldn't get up as fast, so our stop was really slow on that one. I lost some spots and was able to get right to second, though, on the restart, and just kind of abused my tires that run and fell back to third or fourth, and then got back to second for the end of that second stage. And had a good restart there to start the final stage and got out to the lead and kind of try to run my own pace and take care of my tires, and actually pulled away from Truex quite a bit, and then he had gained a lot on us on that green flag stop. I probably came to pit road a little slow just to be safe because I had the stop before I came in really hot and almost sped. So he closed it on us there, and then was really good when we left for that run, and I had to battle him, and he got by me, and I was able to get back by him, and then kind of pull away a little bit, and then that's when all the cautions started coming out, and we had some decent restarts there at the end, but still had more cautions and had to actually come back down pit road, put 4 new tires on, and get some more good restarts. So the pit calls were great. The pit crew did an amazing job, and a fairly clean race for us. So lots of fun to be Kyle Larson right now. Our race cars are really fast in Xfinity and Cup, so it's a blast to show up to the racetrack every week.
And Chad, Chip mentioned about your race-winning call of calling in Kyle for tires when the second and third stayed out. Can you talk about that decision and the race-winning move that was?
Yeah, I mean, in general, at a place like this where you have a lot of tire fall off, it makes that decision a little bit easier. You get 2 or 3 laps on your tires, you're kind of at a disadvantage. I always try to put him in the position to be the aggressor. I don't feel like there's anybody that's going to be any better on a restart than what he will be, especially if I can give him tires. So we had a fast enough car. I didn't figure that many cars would stay out. Only 3 stayed out, which gave us the top in fourth. So I figured that would work out pretty well for us. And as usual, you get a lot of late cautions here. It went green for the most part. I think at one point we had 18 cars on lead lap. So the segments definitely brought something different to it, and brought some more interest and more cars back on the lead lap. But at the end of the day, we just had a fast enough car to do what we needed to do.
Great. Thank you, Chad. Okay, we'll open it up to questions. We'll start up at the front with Kate. Go to Bob. Back.
Okay, Presto Cars in Competition. What did you think when that last caution came out? What were your exact thoughts and what were your planning in your head? Not going with what Chad was saying, but what were you personally thinking?
I was thinking, I'm really good friends with Ricky, but I was thinking, dang it, Ricky, that's the second time you spun late in a race and I've been leading. But no, it was, I was just trying to stay calm and focus on, what was ahead of me and, what was upcoming on the restart. So it seems like every time I get to the lead of one of these, NASCAR races, cautions always fall. And I'm always having to fight people off on restarts, and a lot of times I've gotten beat, but today we did a good enough job to hold the lead. So stayed focused and stayed calm and had a good result.
Bob. Bob. Behind you.
Bob Parker, ESPN. You said it's great to be Kyle Larson right now. Why now? And how do you keep it up for another 31 races?
Well, I'm really, fortunate to be driving really fast race cars right now. Our cars are by far as good as they've ever been, and really good at every racetrack right now. So, in both series, I feel like I have a shot to win every time I go to the racetrack. So, that's always a lot of fun. That's always something I've hoped for, to get to a point of that in my NASCAR career. And in the past, I had racetracks where I knew I would be good at, but right now we're going to do, some tracks that aren't great for me and run up front. So it's a lot of fun to have that confidence in the race team and be able to go to the track and fight hard and go for wins.
How do you keep it up?
How do we keep it up? Chad will give us some fast race cars, and everybody at the race shop will keep finding speed and downforce and everything that goes along with going fast, and hopefully that's what it takes to be the point leader throughout the rest of the year.
Let's keep it over here to Brant.
Brant James, USA Today Sports. Now that you've ended that second place run with the win, willing to admit there might have been a little frustration there, or just culminating with a win that seems like less of a lost opportunity, that 3-race stretch?
No, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of frustration. Really, my frustration last week was that, I felt like I was in the best spot to win, and just made, I guess a little mistake there. So I wasn't, frustrated with the consecutive seconds. I just was frustrated that I was confident going to the last restart and didn't get it done. But to come back, strong this week and get the pole and get the race win is it's great to rebound from a mistake like that.
Let's go to Daryl and then we'll go back here.
Fox Sports at the buzzer. This is for both of you. I found the analogy of bridesmaids to be kind of ridiculous, and now that you won, can you comment on it? And is it the weather? Is it In-N-Out Burger? What happened this weekend for both of you that tied it in?
Yeah, I came out 4 and told them to go ahead and put the bridesmaid's dress back in the closet because we weren't putting that one on again. So I don't know. I mean, I love racetracks like this. It's a big, fast track with multiple grooves. It really suits my driving style. And then I keep saying it, but our race cars are just really, really fast right now. So obviously the food and the friends out here are nice, but having good race cars is good for anything.
Did you go to In-N-Out?
McDonald's is a great sponsor of ours, so got some Big Macs.
Okay, right here.
Kathy Brown pitting outside the box. Expand a little more on that final restart. I mean, at any time were you worried that maybe Brad or Clint, who hasn't been to Victory Lane in a while, was going to catch you, and what could happen if they did?
I was definitely, I knew Brad was probably going to be, well, him and Martin I thought were going to be the two that I would have to fight off. I was happy that Martin was pushing me down the front stretch, but I was also a little nervous at the same time because if he pulled off really quick and side drafted me and slowed my momentum down on entry, that maybe he could carry that momentum past me off of 2, and then I would be fighting, Brad. Both of us would be fighting to get past Martin. So, thankfully it didn't work out that way, and we were able to get the win.
Gentleman in the black.
Elliot Stern, Santa Maria Times. You swept the weekend, qualifying yesterday's race today. How surprised are you, and how pleased are you with the sweep?
I'm more surprised that I won the race yesterday than I won the race today. I was very confident going into today's race. I knew our race car was extremely good throughout the practices yesterday. In the Xfinity race, I struggled in practice and then struggled in the first half of the race. So didn't really expect to win that one, but we were able to find the speed at the end to do it. But yeah, it was a solid weekend. Definitely the best of my NASCAR career.
Go to Jerry, then Bob, then Holly.
Jerry Jordan, KickandTires.net, Performance Racing Network. You've got a sizable lead in the points. That doesn't mean a lot right now, but it's got to make you feel good. More importantly, you are probably locked in for the playoffs. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good. I felt like we would have the speed to make the playoffs anyways going into the year. But getting all these stage wins and then playoff bonus points is huge to coming into the playoffs. So hopefully we can get more stage wins and get more race wins to kind of pat ourselves a little bit when it gets to playoff time, and can use those when we need to in the playoffs.
Bob.
Bob Pockers, ESPN. I saw you tweet about Dave Steele last night. How well did you know him? And I don't know whether you all sprint car guys talk about it at all this morning, or did you have any contact with anybody from USAC today?
A little bit. And I grew up watching like Thursday Night Thunder and stuff like that, and Dave Steele was always the man when it came to pavement racing. And you look at like him and Bobby Santos, they were the two pavement specialists that were the best. So I got to watch him win a lot on TV, and then I was actually I didn't know him personally very well, but I was lucky enough to be teammates with him one time at New Smyrna when I ran a USAC midget race there, and he was a very quiet guy, and I just remember it being like a honor to be a teammate with him that night. Because he was so good at pavement racing, and New Smyrna was a pavement track, and I was confident in that because I knew he was going to have some input in on what our baseline setup was going to be for that weekend, and knew we were going to be good, and got the win. So that was cool to get to spend a little bit of time with him that weekend, but definitely a tragedy. He's probably not very well known, but to the open wheel community, he's one of the greatest ever USAC racers. So feel terrible for his family and all of the racing community. So our thoughts and prayers go out to them, and it's just sucks.
Holly, do you have a question? Okay, and we'll go over here.
Yeah, Kyle, Jim Alexander from the Southern California News Group. Is there a certain comfort factor that develops the more you're in the car, the more you're on these tracks, and has that kind of contributed to the streak that you're on right now?
Yeah, every time you go back to a track for what would now be probably my 7th or 8th time to these places, it helps. Experience is a great thing, and when you have good race cars to go along with it, it makes it even better, and you can learn more. So. It's Fontana's a track that really suits me though. So, hopefully we can learn a lot throughout the rest of the season at all these other racetracks and get some more wins.
Okay, any questions from the Terrace Press? Skybox Press? Media Center? All right. Well, congratulations, guys. Great job. That was
Thank you.
awesome.